Welcome to the Uncensored Self Podcast. I am your host, Ryan Gillen, and on this show, ambitious women learn how to create a life they're obsessed with, without the hustle, without the grind, without torturing ourselves, and without following anybody else's rules. This podcast is all about creating our own rules, owning our identity as creator, and hitting every single goal we set for ourselves. Together, we're redefining success on our terms and building lives that look as good as they feel. Let's dive in. Hello, and welcome back to the Uncensored Self Podcast. And today we're going to talk about something that sounds very obvious and groundbreaking at the same time, because that's kind of how it came through for me. Are you ready? Personal development is not something that you do. You probably already know that intellectually, right? You're like, yeah, I get it. But if you're anything like me and most of the women that I work with, you're still doing the personal development. It is still like another item on your to-do list or a checklist, right? Personal development, take care of self, priority, right? Like it's on the to-do list. And I don't mean that as a dig. There's no judgment in this. This is very much my story as well, which is probably why I'm so excited to share this with you today. But I recently started working with a new mentor, and she's really deeply studied and rooted in feminine energetics. And so I have been studying just energy as a whole, right? But I hadn't really explored masculine versus feminine energy. I know it, I understand it, in the Hermetic principles and different things like that. Like there is the gender, the law of gender, all of that different stuff. So I understand it. And I've studied universal law. I've been deep into reality creation and how we create. I've done the things. I fully understand that energy is everything. But I never understood how much of my energy practice was still rooted in the masculine. And what I heard and what she said in this teaching that I was listening to that just really stopped me in my tracks. And again, I always say that this work is, as I'm learning it, I'm sharing it with you. As I'm, experiencing breakthroughs, I'm sharing those breakthroughs to the best of my ability, because I think that that's what this work is about. And when I say this work, I mean the energy work and the work I do with my clients. I know when it comes to professional development and hiring a mentor, when it comes to learning business, you want somebody who's an expert at what they do. And I will tell you why I'm so transparent. One, I think it's important for us to be transparent. I am not perfect. I'm a human having a human experience. I am studying this work. I'm a student of this work. I study it all day, every day. I have a very deep understanding of it, but I'm also doing the work because I am a human having the human experience, right? We're all doing this work. I tell my clients this even before they ever say yes. Once you start doing this work, this is work you will do for the rest of your life, because you will realize that your energy is creating everything. And the more that you work on it and the more that you nurture it and the more that you love it, the better your life will get. So it winds up becoming something you do forever. But it also doesn't mean that you're not immune. Like my studies, I'm still learning. I'm still experiencing new things, hearing things from different perspectives. And so this masculine and feminine energy wasn't something I really felt called to explore until one day I did, right? Until one day I was like, I need to learn this. And I figured out why in really embodying these teachings over the past couple of months. But here's what the line that kind of stopped me in my tracks was, you're trying to do feminine energy. And my brain was like, am I doing that? So let me explain what that means, okay? Because when you're a high achiever, like you and I, when you have built what it is that you currently have in your life through strategy, through grit, through systems, through hard work, sacrifice, through showing up when you didn't want to, doing things that you hated, working harder than everybody else, et cetera, right? It makes total sense that even your healing, your growth, your becoming gets folded into that same formula, because that's the formula that is the lens of which you view life and you view achievement and you view change, right? You think that, okay, if I want a different result, I have to do something different, because that is what we have been taught our entire life. So when you discover this work, when I discover this work, it then becomes a do, right? So you start journaling every single morning. I know I did, right? It's what you're supposed to do. You meditate, you do breath work, right? You try to surrender with a death grip on the outcome, right? You're checking the boxes. But what is happening here, what was happening for me and what is probably happening for you, is you're still trying to earn the transformation. Okay, I was so doing this because I had built a system around becoming an energetic match, but I was doing it. So I was basically using feminine energy, right? And I'm going to break down feminine and masculine here in just a second, with masculine expectations. So it was the signal's fuzzy, for lack of a better word. So I'm going to explain this a little bit more. But if this resonates with you, I want you to stick with me and see if you can really understand this episode. You might have to listen to it a couple of times, because I know I've been studying it for a couple of months and really pulling it apart and listening over and over and over again. So this morning, when it it was like, okay, I always kind of tap into my intuition and it's like, okay, it's time to start talking about this. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm not ready. So roll with me. That's why I use this space, is to kind of show you guys the transformation is happening. So let's first talk about like, what is masculine versus feminine energy? So masculine and feminine energy, first of all, has nothing to do with gender. Okay. This has nothing to do with gender. It's not about men and women. It is about energy. So both women have masculine and feminine energy, and men have masculine and feminine energy. The difference is, what are we more wired to use? That is where gender comes into play, right? Men are more wired. They're more built, scientifically built, right? Like biologically built. Their brains are wired for more of the masculine energy. And then as women, obviously ours is more wired for the feminine energy, because masculine energy is the doing. It's the structures, the system, the pushing, the execution, the make it happen, right? Like men in general, if you think about men, or even if you want to use animals, we don't want to talk about men versus women, we talk about like packs of animals, right? Men are providers and protectors. The male in a pack, if you're looking like a pack of wolves or something like that, is the protector and the provider, right? The feminine energy is the being, the feeling, the receptivity, the magnetism, the surrender, the softness, the fun, the joy, right? Like we are the softness. We are the yin and the yang, right? The law of polarity is also things, right? So again, as women, it doesn't mean that we don't ever go into the masculine. It means that we are better in the feminine. I don't know if I like the word better. The feminine is more natural for us. That's what I'm going to say. Men, right, are more wired for the masculine, and it is more natural for them to be in their masculine. It's more natural for us to be in our feminine. However, most of us, that's not been what we've been doing most of our lives. So we're going to talk about that. But feminine energy is actually where quantum leaps happen. And most of us are still trying to make quantum leaps happen. I'm still going to, if I just effort hard enough in this energy shit, I will get the results that I want. We're scheduling the magic, right? Like I'm going to breathe at this time and this time, controlling the surrender. Like I'm surrendered, but as long as this happens in the time that I want, right? We're trying to do alignment, and feminine energy does not play by those rules. So I want to kind of explain this story a little bit, and hopefully we'll explain why things have played out the way that they have in my energy journey, because I have been doing all of the right things as it relates to personal development for years at this point, right? Meditating, journaling, breath work, nervous system work, all of it. And it has worked. I don't want to frustrate you with this at all, because you're like, fuck, Ryan, this is what I'm doing. I'm just going to stop doing all of it. Like, no. That's not what I'm proposing here. Because my life in just doing this work has changed dramatically. My business is dramatically different. My relationship, my body, the way I feel about money, like it is wild to think about how different my life is, even from just 12 months ago, right? But there has been no major quantum leap in my journey yet. There has been evolution. There has been growth. There has been breakthroughs. There have been magic. But there's this ceiling that I'm finding myself stuck against, which is why I went looking for mentorship. Most of my clients come to me in that same place, right? They're in this place where it's like, it's good, but like, why can't I break through this next level? Well, that's what I went looking for, right? But what was happening, and what I very quickly learned in this new container that I'm in, is because I was still trying to do to get the result, not being because it's who I am. Right? I'm going to say that for you again. I was doing the personal development work, the journaling, the breath work, the meditation, all of the things, because I thought if I did it enough, I would get the result, instead of being the identity, the person who has it, because it's who I am. Right? And so here's what I'm learning, that the result, and I've known this, but how it fits in with feminine energy is so fun, is that the result is already done. It's already yours, right? So when it comes to playing the energy game, which is what we talk about here on this show, right? You have to understand that what you want is done. So I often will use, the biblical quote of before you ask, it is given. I think I talked about this in last week's podcast as well. So when you decide, I desire to have A, B, C, X, Y, Z in my business, I want my body to look like this. I want my relationship to look like this. I want my friendships to look like this. God, source, the universe says yes. It's one of my favorite things. Like God always says yes. God always says yes. Yes. Right? It's done. It is already yours. So when you sit down to journal, you're not trying to create the result. It already exists. You're not meditating to attract it in. It already exists, right? You're not breath working your next 6 figures or your soulmate or the healed version of you. The work is to become the energetic match by being, not doing. You become the woman who has it, and then you act from her. So you feel it first, you become it now, and then the action follows, right? This is where aligned action comes into play. And I've been coaching a client through this over the past couple of weeks. This is probably why this is coming up for me so strongly, is this idea of how much action goes into play here, right? Like, okay, can I just sit around and do nothing and opportunities come to me? Maybe, right? Sometimes they will. Sometimes they absolutely positively will. Someone will call you and say, hey, I want to give you this thing. Like, that can and will happen. I've experienced it. Clients have experienced it. It's a thing. However, when you are really, truly being an energetic match to God, source, the universe, which is pure love, right? Pure positive energy is what Abraham uses, right? Like, we are an extension of source energy, right? We are life force energy. We are human beings or we are spiritual beings in human forms, right? So the stuff that all the other things, I don't feel the need. I don't know why I'm explaining this to you right now. Sorry, guys. But when it comes to the action piece of the puzzle, it's always kind of been a question mark, especially for those of us that are doers and we're like, can I do anything to move this along a little bit? We want to know what's the action piece of this. And so what I'm really understanding in the land of feminine energetics is that when you are in your feminine, when you are in surrender, when you are in flow, when you are in just pure receivership, right? Like, I am the Wi-Fi signal that is the exact match for what it is I desire. This is amazing. That is where the nudge to do comes from, right? So when you are, Abraham says, tuned in, tapped in, turned on, right? Like, I call it the zone, and I'm probably going to wind up doing a whole podcast and maybe a whole program on the word the zone, right? When you are in the zone and you get the idea to text so-and-so, do it, right? So you are doing, because when you were in the zone, when you were connected, when you were really locked in, the drop into like, oh, create that piece of content about, right? Do it. That's where the doing comes in. But if you are not getting those nudges and following your intuition and really letting it drop in that way, a lot of the stuff you're doing isn't actually getting you any closer to the results. It's just appeasing your mind so that you feel like you are doing something to get the result. It's not the effort that gets the result. It's the energy that gets the result. You just believe that the effort is getting you the result. It is actually the energy that is getting the result. So the only real action that you have to, I'm using air quotes, take are the ones that drop in. But when they drop in, they're usually fun, right? They're usually things you enjoy doing. Like when I get nudges for a podcast episode, yes, it's work. Yes, I'm doing, but this is fun for me. I could record podcasts all day, every day. I could literally be on group coaching calls with clients all day, every day and fucking love it. So yes, of course I am doing, right? But I am not doing to get a result. I am doing because that's what my intuition says to do. And so when I do things that I enjoy, that are fun, that challenge me, that grow me, that excite me, that cause me to learn new things and look at things from a different perspective and a different angle, that is the becoming journey. So what is happening in the doing is actually all of those things. You're becoming that person. You're not creating the result. That's not your job. The result is God, source, the universe's job. Your job is to do what your intuition tells you to do so that you become an energetic match. So sometimes it is going to look like work. It is going to be reach out to that person, send that email, create that piece of social media content, make that phone call, go to that event, create that offer, follow up with that person that you talked to last week, apply for that job. So yes, but when it's coming from an intuitive place, when it's coming from a place of feminine energy, which is surrender, flow, excitement, right? And then you slip into the masculine and go, that's when they work together in this really beautiful balance. What I had been doing and what I'm working on doing less of is sitting in the feminine energy and then like, okay, cool, got to move on to doing, right? Here's my to-do list for the day, got to go. Instead of sitting in the feminine energy and reviewing my to-do list and saying, okay, God, again, that's the word I use, God, source, the universe, whatever works for you. Okay, God, here's what I got on my plate today. Is this aligned? Is there anything else I need to be looking at? Is there anything else I need to be doing? And literally asking that question and seeing what comes up. And you're like, holy shit, this girl has lost her mind. She's talking to herself. Yes, so are you. That voice in your head, not the mean one, not the crazy one, right? But like when you are having this conversation, when you're thinking through things, when you get that gut reaction, like that is a conversation with non-physical, just for the record. So whatever. But like when you literally get quiet and get still, which is why I'm obsessed with nervous system regulation, because those of you that can't sit still long enough, you're like, intuition, what intuition? It's not that it's not talking to you, it's that you can't hear it because you won't sit still. But when you sit still and when you regulate that nervous system and you ask those questions, you get answers. And then you do, right? You then can move into masculine energy. Then you can move into the doing. But because it came from an aligned place, it came from the zone. Even when you go to do, you stay in that zone. You're like, oh my gosh, this is so fun. This is so exciting. I'm getting so much positive energy from completing this thing. Gosh, this is really frustrating and really hard, but gosh, it's expanding me in a really cool way. And I know when I'm finished with it, it's going to feel amazing. That is the balance of masculine and feminine. What most of us do, what a lot of my clients have done, and what I have done in the past is we do the feminine and then we do the masculine, but the two don't really flow together well. Right. And so what this is really about is how do we make these things flow together in a way that we get the magic of the feminine, but then the result of the masculine, right? So let me give you some examples. I have some just things that might tell you if this is you. And most of you probably already know, I'm gonna be real honest, but in case you need some signs that you're doing the feminine, it's when you relax, but you feel guilty about it. Right? Like that day that you're like, fuck it, I'm not doing anything today. I'm going to have a me day. But the whole time you feel like shit. That is, again, masculine energy clouded in feminine, right? You meditate, but only because you have to. Not because it makes you feel better, not because you feel any more connected, but you're like, if I don't meditate, I'm not going to get the results, right? That's not it. When you are creating content, like I got to come up with a piece of content so that people want to work with me or so people want to buy from me, right? That is masculine, right? When you go for a walk, right? But because you think it'll help you manifest the money instead of I love walking and walking is the time that I walk and talk to God, right? Like, again, you're still trying to do. It's, you tell yourself you're taking aligned action, but you're still like waiting for the email or the pings or like you're searching for the validation, right? And I have been there. I still catch myself there more times than I care to admit. But what I'm learning is that that's masculine energy in disguise, right? It's the I'll be good and the universe will reward me energy. It's still this idea that I am not the one creating every single fucking thing out there. It is still this, I have to do something to earn it, to prove it. And then somebody outside of me is going to tell me that I'm good enough or that I've done enough or that I've earned it. At least it's very much been my story, right? But feminine energy feels like peace. It feels like pleasure, like play, like presence, right? It's when you are sipping your coffee, on your screened in patio and the idea drops it. That is feminine energy, right? Like I wasn't trying to solve, like I get so many ideas when I'm walking and when I'm sitting. And it's because in those moments, I'm not trying to solve anything. I'm not trying to do anything. I'm just listening to the birds, right? Like, especially this time of year, it's spring, it's beautiful. I'm like, oh, the birds. And then the idea drops in. Like that is a divinely guided idea because I wasn't searching for an idea. This is why so many people say that they get ideas in the shower is because most of the time in the shower, like you can stop fucking thinking, right? Like you're not trying, maybe some of you are, but like so many people, when you're engaged in something else that's kind of mindless and then you get the idea and like things drop in, that is divine communication, right? It's when you're trying to figure it out and trying to solve it. I'm using my hands right now. If you're watching any of the videos, like like the Rubik's Cube in the brain, right? You're trying to solve a problem. Those are masculine energy ideas. Feminine energy ideas are when you are really, truly relaxed or enjoying yourself or having fun or in flow or not at all focused on whatever the thing is. And there's the best idea you ever had, or poof, the phone rings, or poof, this happens. That's feminine energetics, right? Because when you're feeling let up, it means you're in the zone, right? And I had this moment the other day, and again, sitting on my porch, screened in, watching the sunrise. Like I love to watch the sunrise. It's one of my favorites. My kids know every time we catch a sunrise or a sunset, they're like, Mom, Mom, Mom. So cute, right? But like the sunrise is just, it's the optimism and the excitement and the gratitude that I have for another day on this planet, to live this life, to do this work, to be the mother of these children, to be the partner to that man, to live this life is just like, it just sets my soul on fire. Like every single day that I get to watch it, right? And the phrase dropped in, like, this is where the magic happens. That's feminine energy, right? Like to me, again, I started studying this work and it dropped in. This is the magic. Like this is where the magic happens. The magic happens when you're not trying to make things happen. You can't make magic happen. You have to be and the magic will happen. That's feminine energy. That's being, right? Because the version of you, that woman who you are peeling back the layers and remembering who the fuck you are, she knows. She knows that it's done. She knows that she's worthy. She knows that the results are inevitable. And so if you're just doing the personal development work to prove something, to try to get a result, you will see improvement, right? But if you want quantum leaps, if you want massive, very quick change, you have to stop doing. And you have to realize that it is already done. It's already done. It's already done. And your only job is to surrender to that idea and follow your inspiration. And the inspiration doesn't have to be related to the thing. This is the part that fucked me for a long time, my friends, is I was like, okay, well, if my goal is to make more money, I'm waiting for inspiration to drop in to help me make more money. That's not it, right? When you are playing the energy game, everything is connected. It's actually my favorite thing about this game, right? In playing it this way, is that you're no longer like the work version of you and the home version of you and the mom version of you and like the PTA version of you. You are just you, like all of the time. You are the exact same person all of the time. You just navigate life, right? You navigate work, you navigate your marriage, you navigate your kids, you navigate the PTA, you navigate competitive sports, you navigate difficult conversations with friends, but you are still just you, right? If you're still cycling through all of these identities of like, well, I'm at work, I act like this. When I'm at home, I act like this. Like, yes, of course, you have to meet the moment where it is, but like who you are is who you are. And so when you realize that who you are is all you need to do, it's just so much magic. But let's go back to the idea of where the inspiration comes from, right? Does the inspiration have to be about business? If the business thing, no, right? In those moments when I'm sitting there watching the sunrise, if the inspiration that drops in is to, make a nail appointment or text my college roommate, go do that, right? That's the next step. What we do is when those things come in, we're like, no, later. And again, if they're coming in when you're not in the zone, cool, right? And put them on your to-do list. But when you are in the zone, meaning I am intentionally taking time to connect with God, source, the universe, and be still and enjoy my life and like really build up this beautiful feeling of gratitude and love and joy for my life. When I'm in those moments, like when the idea comes in, go, right? Go or start putting the pieces together. That's where the inspiration comes from. But the inspiration doesn't have to be related to the thing, right? Like if you're trying to, improve your health in some capacity and the inspiration is to follow up with that lead you talked to next week, do that. Do that. Because who knows, maybe that lead that you talked to last week that you're going to follow up with is a doctor who can help you or can introduce you to a doctor or has a sister who has the same symptoms. Like this is where the idea that we're all connected, right? The law of divine oneness, right? There is no separation. It's all together. That's why I say like there's not the work you and the home you and the wife you and the whatever you, there's just you. And these are all just different facets of who you are, but they're all connected, which is why you can make a personal phone call and get a business, whatever next step or vice versa. So that's what we talk about inspiration. So here's what I want to know. Here's what I'm going to leave you with for today. Right? If the answer to the question is, are you doing the energy work? And again, you're probably not listening at this point if the answer is no. Or are you being the woman who already has what she wants? So if you are exhausted from doing the work, I want you to take a big deep breath. This isn't another thing to get right. It is an invitation to let go. And I understand what I'm asking of you because I am you, right? Like I couldn't wrap my brain around like what truly letting go is, like that there is no system to follow, that there is no blueprint, that there are no rules, that it's all made up, that all of it. Like I understand when you're like, that sounds great, but you have to soften, you have to trust, right? Becoming is not a checklist, it's a homecoming, right? That you're going to remember. I posted something on social that everybody really loved last week I posted this picture of myself. So I was working out. I have a gym in my basement and it's just a small little gym and I have a mirror, the Lululemon mirror that I bought during COVID, right? And I snapped a picture and I had on almost like a little sports bra top and shorts, which is so out of character for me, but I worked hard and I've lost a lot of weight and I feel really good about my body. So I'm just trying to get more comfortable. So I'm like, I'm in my home gym and I snapped this picture. And when I looked at the picture, it wasn't even in the mirror. It was like, when I looked at the picture, I was like, that looks like me in like college. Like that looks like me 20 something years ago. And it was just such this profound remembrance of like, we are not trying to become somebody else. I think that's what we mean by the doing. Like when you're trying to become somebody you're not, you're doing. When you're remembering who you are, you're being, right? So it's like this remembrance of like, gosh, I know that girl. That girl she was optimistic and she was happy and she was confident and she was just bright-eyed and bushy-tailed and she'd take anything that the world threw at her. And while some parts of me, my ego still thought I was her, my soul was like, girl, we're tired. We're tired of that shit, right? So it was like this remembrance of like, I've always had this fire in my belly. I've always been really confident in my ability. I just forgot, right? I got lost in the noise and the bullshit and the drama, in the disappointments, in the losses that I forgot that she's always been in there. And so that's really what personal development is about, is this remembrance of the magic that you are. It's a remembrance of the fact that you are not discovering life, you are creating life. Like you are powerful beyond measure. And you can't do that. You have to be that. So this is something you're going to contemplate. This is something you're going to think about. But if you can just find an inkling of energy in here that you're like, ooh, that's it, hold it. Hold it and feel into it, contemplate it, think about it, challenge yourself, see how it feels. I would be delighted if you share your experience. It'd be so fun. So reach out to me on social media. All of my handles are linked in the show notes, or you can respond via email if you're getting this via email or whatever the case may be. But I want to hear about this because I think that this is going to lead to so many exciting breakthroughs for so many of you. They're so close to the quantum leap, and the only thing holding you back is this masculine doing energy. Thank you for being here. I'll see you next week. Thank you for tuning in to the Uncensored Self podcast. If you're walking away with a new perspective, some fresh inspiration, or the push you needed to show up as your uncensored self, I'd love to hear about it. Share this episode, leave a review, and don't forget to hit subscribe so you never miss an episode. Remember, success isn't about following somebody else's rules. It's about owning who you are, deciding what you want, and going after it unapologetically. Until next time, keep leading, keep creating, and stay uncensored.